back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's episode, we are going to discuss Joy Reid. We have a couple of videos to view. And like yesterday, we were kind of briefly explained how Joy Reid was fired from her MSNBC gig because of ratings. And now, some Black I guess activists are claiming that it's because she was a Black commentator on MSNBC. But however, Joy Reid is being replaced by Black commentators. So we'll further discuss that. Also, we're going to talk about Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson, he once again, I guess, fulfilled his mission to get Chicago in further in debt because they at City Council, by a slim margin, they did approve a $132 million bond that they are trying to apply for. And as it stands right now, I believe Chicago is about $2.9 billion. It might be 2.39 or 2.9. I think the number that I saw, $2.9 billion in debt. Okay. This is not including the $832 million that they're planning to borrow. And they're claiming that this is for the city infrastructure. Okay. Roads, bridges, what have you. I sincerely doubt it goes just to that, but we'll take a look at the article. Okay. So that's all on today's episode of Business Talks. So you guys stay tuned.
Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
You guys put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. Please put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. I see we have Celeste Hodges tuning in from Texas in the building. Carrollton Hollister, what is good with you? We for tuning in from Waycross, Georgia. Noble Young, what is good? Cy Jones, greeting from Florence, South Carolina. Thank you for tuning in, Cy. Kennard the DJ. Kennard, what is the word? Hello from South Carolina, Tyrone. Samuel Matthews is in the building. Chris Hall is tuning in from New York. And bro Sean West, Canton, Ohio. What's good with you, bro? And many, many more. You guys continue to put in the chat where you're viewing from. So we're going to get started. I never have too long to discuss these topics, but we're going to discuss it. Brandon Johnson is the first thing that I would like to discuss because Brandon Johnson, he's always claiming that it's hard to be a mayor. It's hard to be a Black mayor. It's hard to be a Black husband raising Black children. Okay, this is his complaint. Okay, he probably has. He does have a hard job. I would say he does have a hard job, but he's managed this job horribly. Okay. He has not got one single thing done besides put Chicago in further in debt. Okay. All the money that was allocated for migrants or illegal immigrants, they have not got us a temporary shelter. None of those things, but they know how to spend money. They've spent, I guess, $15 or $16 million on food contracts and all these unnecessary things that migrants don't even eat. The illegals, they don't even like the food that they were serving up. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is the main thing the Brandon Johnson is having a problem with. And the aldermans, because the people that voted on this ticket, they're going to have a problem getting reelected. So this on Chicago 7, ABC 7, it says Chicago.
I'm Anthony Porofsky. I'm leading 6 curious Hollywood stars on their very own journeys of a lifetime.
It says Chicago Council narrowly approves Mayor Brandon Johnson's plans for $830 million bond for infrastructure. And this is what they had to say.
The vote was delayed a week after the Johnson administration took a few days to address concerns about how exactly the money will be spent. Street repairs, new lights, fixing bridges. Improving Chicago's infrastructure is something all city council members say must be done. But how to pay for it has been controversial.
When my 5-year-old is 30, we will be paying $820 million over a period of 6 years on this very bond.
34th Ward Alderman Bill Conway led the way in opposition of Mayor Brandon Johnson's $830 million infrastructure bond plan. The terms of the deal delays interest payments until 2027, and the principal is not due until 2045. The total repayment will cost taxpayers about $2 billion. The mayor's allies argue the city cannot afford to delay infrastructure projects.
Potholes will grow bigger, vacant buildings will catch on fire, light poles will fall, and bridges could deteriorate beyond repair.
This idea that we're in a real hurry and we got to get this done today or else is absolute and total baloney.
Opponents of the plan were hoping for the council to take more time to change the terms of the payment plan, but the mayor was anxious to get the deal done. So much so, a vote was called without debate.
So we're just asking for a few minutes to step back and allow us to talk about this bond.
After discussion, debate was allowed, a vote was taken, and the bond plan barely passed by a vote of 26 to 23. It was tweaked to add language to make sure the money will not go to Chicago Public Schools to pay for a teacher's contract or pensions.
We can do that while ensuring that not a single cent of this money goes to anything besides infrastructure.
But some alders who oppose the deal don't trust the mayor and fear the money will somehow make it to CPS.
You can always play the shell game, and you can move money around, free money up here to do money here, and that is what is going to happen.
And while the bond deal delays payments, taxpayers are already saddled with paying back infrastructure debt from previous administrations. One alder said it's time for city council to find new revenue, such as raising property taxes. Live in the newsroom, Sarah Schulte, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. Rob, back to you.
Well, they can't raise property taxes because that
Monday,
failed.
March 3rd.
That failed. Trying to raise, actually, it all didn't fail because I think they raised property taxes by 165 million. You guys put it in chat. I think that was the last. They tried to do 360, and then they kept on going down or decreasing that amount. And it finally passed about 160 something $million that they're going to raise on property taxes. The problem with this is, I think that alderman was just, he's absolutely right. There's it's a shell game. They're going to move money around. Brandon Johnson is hooked up to the teachers union. He's still buddy. After he's fired, the public's going to fire him. He's going to have a job with the teachers union because he's been on, doing everything he could to secure money for the teachers union, even with that last administrator that they fired because he did not agree to further the city in debt to take out a loan. A loan in the teacher's behalf or the education system behalf, so it could go towards the teachers union in the Chicago Public Schools to teach immigrants. Okay, so I think this is a bad move on Chicago and Brandon Johnson. Interest only payments until 2045. There's a whole bunch of things that you could do to get more money. Like, how about we just decrease our spending? If we know our infrastructure is suffering and it didn't just pop out the window yesterday, you haven't been doing the proper maintenance on your infrastructures, on your bridges and your roads. So now they're in dire constraint, and now that they can no longer wait. You guys should have been planning that a long time ago. and maybe this is not Brandon Johnson's fault, but you know, you're the intern. You came in and you knew the city had those problems. Not only it had a immigration problem, it had a bridge and a roads problem. So this is not a brand new thing. Now, partly Brandon is probably strapped for cash is because he is not agreeing to work with ICE and with Donald Trump to deport migrants. Okay. I don't know if they actually stopped federal funding from Chicago or from the state of Illinois. I don't know if they actually went through with that, but I know Brandon Johnson mentioned something like that, saying we got to get ahead of the curve because, you know, the current president is not. He's trying to stop funding to Chicago. Okay, so Brandon, you're making your city, your residents suffer because you got some type of hatred towards Trump of what he's doing. You need to stop it. It doesn't make any sense. Why should your residents suffer because you can't play ball? And you're going against federal law, actually, trying to hide migrants and illegal immigrants in your city. Anyway, so that's is Brandon Johnson. You guys put in the chat, let me know what you think. Marcus, what's going on? Kennard is saying black folks are going to get enough for voting for a black candidate simply because they black. You're absolutely right. And personally believe the reckless spending done by these black politicians is solely to help gentrify black people right out of their neighborhoods and run off with the bag while doing it. Yeah, you know what? All that Black Lives Matter, you know, you guys was on here last week. I think I was talking about Black Lives Matter and oh, we got to be black and blackly black, all that black and we shall overcome BS that we be talking about. And then we have these black politicians and these black activists running away with the bag. Black Lives Matter. Like I said, the guy that got killed by that police officer, George Floyd, and they made a martyr out of him. He was a criminal. He was a criminal. And when he tried to turn in a fake dollar bill, $20 bill, they called the cops on him. And the store probably was owned by black people. You called the cops on him, and they say he always come in that store trying to turn in fake dollar bill. Okay, what happened to Black Lives Matter? And so he ended up getting caught. But the nail in the coffin is, excuse me, the nail in the coffin is George Floyd had fentanyl in him. So Black Lives Matter took to the streets, raised almost $100 million, and they did not go back to Minnesota where they burnt it down to rebuild the community. They didn't put nothing back in the community. They didn't set up no fentanyl stations, no Narcan stations to test the drugs, no rehabilitation centers. None of that was set up. They didn't help rebuild any stores. None of that. They didn't do none of that. But Black Lives Matter. And all these stores that they burned down in the neighborhoods that they burned down, your black brother and sister worked in those neighborhoods. So not only they lost a store and a convenience store, shopping places where they could go and to shop, but they lost their jobs too. But Black Lives Matter. That's why I said that Black Lives Matter, that's a bunch of BS. BS. Black lives don't matter. When we hire politicians and they paying these teachers, and I'm not saying the teachers that's actually in the school, they're paying these administrators hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're failing. They can't pass proficient reading a grade level, or they're not proficient at a grade level in reading and math. How can we say Black Lives Matter? You can't say that. Because if Black lives really matter, we all would have been in a community like, hell no, you're not about to just take all our tax dollars and spend it in yourself and take it out to some suburbs and spend it at Macy's and the Louis Vuitton store, because that's probably, and they wearing red bottoms and getting your body done, showing up to school, you got your body done, and your kids can't read. That's not Black Lives Matter. That's like your life matter. Anyway, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Grandparents couldn't get meds. Exactly. Keratin, 100 million went straight to founder's pocket for those mansions in California. And now God don't like ugly, because I think all 3 of her mansions burnt down in those fires. And why would you have 3 mansions in the same area? Does that even make any sense? Remember when Walmart closes most of their stores in Chicago, they had the audacity to get mad about it. So one of my most viewed videos on my channel is talking about Walmart and how the Black folks we gonna take it to Chicago. No, we're gonna take it to Indiana. We're gonna take it to all other these Black towns, and we gonna boycott. No, they closing down because they saw that, hey, they were trying to invest in the community and whatever, but they saw that, oh, these Negroes, they love stealing. We ain't even making no money. You don't go in business to be a charitable organization, then Walmart would be a 501c3. They're not a 501c3. They're a for-profit organization. They want their money. Okay. And if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So yeah, they closed their store down. And in that video that I shared with you guys, I think it almost got 700,000 views on that video. You see somebody stealing a TV out of the Walmart, and the person that's filming and is laughing. Oh, they lost their sock. They lost their shoes. we laughing at it. And when they close down, it's not funny. It's not funny, because what did Kennard? Your grandmama can't get their prescriptions. Now they don't even got no pharmacy in the area. Now they got to go to a higher price store, a local store. It's nothing wrong with local stores, but usually they're higher price because they can't buy in bulk like Walmart. So now they got to pay a higher price for their goods because they don't have a Walmart in the area, because y'all Negroes like to steal. I'm just saying. Anyway, that's enough of that. The next topic we're going to talk about is Joy Reid. Joy Reid, I told you I was going to share the video of her crying, right? Joy Reid was crying. She broke down in tears. It was pretty heartbreaking because, you've been at this job for years. You've been at this job for years. I think for 5 years. I think they said she started in 2020. So and that wasn't 20 years, but you've been at this job and you thought you was making a difference with all your antics and all that stuff. But and then they end up giving you the boot, because you thought you truly thought that you was making a difference to your 60,000 viewers. I told you the 60,000 viewers. This is Joy.
My show had value, and that that what I was doing had value, and value. And in the end, I'm sorry, I try not to cry on TV. And I say this is kind of like being on TV, so I apologize. And then it mattered. I see Karen is there, and she's been texting me as well. And so what I will just say is that in the end, thank you. Where I land is that the moment of guilt that I felt, that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues of a young baby or a mom or a dad that was killed, or when we opened up people's eyes to the fact that Asian Americans were being targeted and not just Black folks, or went hard for immigrants who've done nothing but come to this country like my parents did and try to make a life and defended them. Or whether we've talked about what the president is doing that is subversive to the Constitution, that is injurious to our liberty, defending books that people find inconvenient, that Nicole Hannah-Jones put into our spirit, that we need to understand 1619 as the real founding of this country, whether it's talking about any of these issues, and yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object, to little babies being bombed. And where I come down on that is I'm not sorry. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. And I'm a church girl too, and those are the things that I was taught were of God. And so I'm not sorry. I'm just proud of my show.
Okay. So that was Joy Reid. I think it's heartbreaking. I do feel sorry for her, but then I don't, because she talks so much crap. I mean, she gave so many people a hard time about voting a different way. They called several of them called us uneducated and nut jobs and loony bins and blah blah blah, just about on the way a person vote. I think it was really ridiculous. And now you get a dose of your own medicine. Well, no, not a dose of your own medicine. The people spoke. The people spoke that they wanted to elect Donald Trump, and the people spoke that they didn't want to see you on MSNBC anymore because your views were down. We had this whole conversation yesterday. If your viewership is down, you get less advertisement dollars. In turn, a network can't pay your $3 million salary because you're not bringing in that advertisement dollars, and probably because you were too extreme on your viewpoint. So then your views went down. I think Joy Reid would do well probably on YouTube or Rumble or somewhere like that, because everybody that was that came out for her and talked about Joy Reid, how much she brings to the table, they all said she was outspoken. So when you're outspoken like that sometimes, and you ruffle a bunch of feathers, people are not going to people are not going to you don't get a warm and fuzzy, just like Donald Trump. He ruffles too many feathers. He goes against the grain. He's not standing in line. He's going against the system. So that's why they don't like him. And then American people, they tend to like, oh yeah, he's speaking truth, and we tired of being BS by these politicians and lied to and used and abused by the politicians, and they always lying to us. So that's why he actually won. But on Joy Reid, it's like, you can't be too outspoken. you can't do that, because you got advertisement dollars, and if you go off on the deep end and act like you all crazy, that's what will happen. Okay, so you have Rachel Maddow. She was on I believe Sunday night or Monday morning saying, oh, this is a big mistake. She's a class act.
PM hour all the other nights except for Mondays. So that's a big change. An even bigger programming change is at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern. where Joy Reid's show, The Readout, ended tonight. And Joy is not taking a different job in the network. She is leaving the network altogether. And that is very, very, very hard to take. I am 51 years old. I have been gainfully employed since I was 12. And I have had so many different kinds of jobs, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. But in all of the jobs I have had, in all of the years I have been alive, there is no colleague for whom I have had more affection and more respect than Joy Reid. I love everything about her. I have learned so much from her. I have so much more to learn from her. I do not want to lose her as a colleague here at MSNBC. And personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. It is not my call, and I understand that, but that's what I think. I will tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two, count them, two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Fang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad, no matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it. But there's just one other piece of it that you should know. From your side of the TV screen, you will mostly see changes in terms of who's in the anchor chair. And actually, everybody who's going to be in anchor chairs from here on out are great colleagues and great at what they do, and you are not going to be disappointed in who's on our air and what you're going to be seeing. But one thing you cannot necessarily see is that the people who get our shows on the air, they're really being put through the ringer. Dozens of producers and staffers, including some who are among the most experienced and most talented and most specialist producers in the building, are facing being laid off. They're being invited to reapply for new jobs. That has never happened at this scale in this way before when it comes to programming changes, presumably because it's not the right way to treat people, and it's inefficient and it's unnecessary, and it kind of drops the bottom out of whether or not people feel like this is a good place to work, and so we don't generally do things that way. Maybe all of our folks, including most of the people who are getting this very show on the air right now, maybe they will all get new jobs here, and I hope they do. But in the meantime, being put in this kind of limbo, the anxiety and the discombobulation is off the charts at a time when this job already is extra stressful and difficult. It is not news for me to tell you that the press and freedom of the press are under attack in a way that is really, it's a big deal for our country. It's very visceral for us here. I know that the business of the press is not an easy thing, and I know that no job is forever.
So, you know, you're trying to be emotional and you're trying to say, oh, I'm with the minorities. But she failed to let everyone know. Joy Reid, her primetime spot is being replaced by minorities. This guy. Let me show you. I'm not going to play Stephen A. Smith commentary, but I just want to. They're being replaced by these guys. Joy Reid's spot. They're going to fill in her spot. So you trying to portray that, oh, MSNBC is being racist because it's hard for a black woman, but you got a black man and a black woman. They probably got better ratings than her. They got better ratings. So you're trying to act like that's, you know, MSNBC is just what they just decided to go full on white mode on you. And so I mean, you're trying to stir up the pot, saying, oh, it is, you know, all that racism that we talked about on this show for the last 5-10 years since Trump been in office, you know, it's rearing this ugly head, with mainstream media. Has nothing to do with that. But you know what I said, I wasn't going to play Stephen A. Smith, but he makes a valid point. He gets into the numbers. Okay, he gets into the numbers of Joy Reid. Okay, so you guys take a listen.
I don't think we're serving ourselves well. Michael Steele is going to be there as well as a replacement, along with Alicia. And you got to remember Menendez is right there as well. It's hard to make the race argument when her replacements are reported to be 3 individuals that already have a weekend show on the network, and they're going to be inserted in the network. And I'm just reading from the reports here, okay? I have not spoken to Joy Reid. I don't know. I've had the pleasure of meeting her on a couple of occasions. I certainly respect her. And I'm not here to castigate her in any way, but we do have to talk about the business in a very, very honest and fair fashion. Joy Reid was incredibly outspoken against the Trump administration, as has always been the case. Since election, her ratings have dropped by 47%. 47%. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't keep your job when stuff like that happens. You just don't. The business doesn't allow for that to happen. When you rate high, tolerance is high. When you rate low, tolerance is low. Let's look at the reports from here. It talked about how Reid will be replaced at the 7 p.m. hour by a trio of MSNBC weekend hosts, former Kamala Harris advisor Simone Sanders, anti-Trump Republican Michael Steele, and Alicia Menendez, the daughter of former Democratic Senator and convicted felon Bob Menendez, okay? That's what it says here in the report, okay? It goes a bit further. The readout suffered a major slump, this is according to Newsweek. The readout suffered a major slump in ratings since the 2024 election. Nielsen Media Research revealed that Reid's show averaged around 759,000 viewers in early December, a 47% decline from the 1.4 million average it achieved in 2024 leading up to the election day. Her ratings basically were damn near cut in half. On February 20th, Reid's show was reported to have around 778,000 viewers, while Fox News' Laura Ingraham attracted an estimated 3.4 million in the same slot. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 3.4 million to 778,000. I'm repeat it again. That's 3.4 million to 778,000. That can't be ignored. When we make the argument and we want to bring race into the equation, we got to have it. We got to have the evidence. It can't be subliminal. It can't be something that's assumed. It can't be something that can that is rife with plausible deniability. We got to know it. Now, if you want to sit up there and say Trump had something to do with it, that's fine, because he's coming after them. He's coming after G. He's coming after Mr. Brian Robbins for Comcast and their left-leaning, a news outlet. He's definitely, or a channel rather. He's definitely doing that.
And you know what? It's Stephen A. He's sometimes a Republican and sometimes a Democrat. So to say that he has a target on, and I'm talking about specifically Trump, yeah, he gives them a lot of shit about the stuff that they talk about and the propaganda that they spread and all the negativity that they spread against him, and warranted attacks, okay? Warranted attacks from Donald Trump. He was in the news. Look, Donald Trump was in the news for the last 4 years, and he wasn't even the president, for the last 4 years. And all they did was talk about him in a negative way. They didn't have anything to say, anything positive about Donald Trump. The only thing I heard positive about Donald Trump was when he did that, when he showed up for McDonald's. And then they tried to spin that as negative. But you see some of the mainstream media, specifically the guys, were saying that, oh, this was a genius marketing move. He's really good at marketing, blah, blah, blah. But then they tried to spin it like, oh, he just showed up and didn't even ask permission and all that crazy stuff. But anyway, you didn't see nothing positive said about Donald Trump. Everything negative. Then you wonder why he has an attitude with mainstream media, because y'all don't say anything positive about him. You cannot be unbiased. You're always spreading biased news, and it's always negative against him. And Kamala Harris couldn't do no wrong. So this was warranted attacks by Donald Trump. So yeah, he probably does has it out for them, which he should. Okay, just because you don't agree with a particular person, that doesn't mean you just start spreading lies like he's a neo-Nazi. Like, You know, they were literally cutting clips, like snippets of what Donald Trump was saying, like, oh, look what he said. Well, let's see the whole clip. Okay, let's see the whole clip. And Kamala Harris tried to repeat that lie on the debate stage. Oh, you said it was fine people on both sides, but they didn't pay the whole clip. The 2 seconds after that, he said, yeah. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white supremacists or something he said. I'm not talking about them. So anyway, so, you know, if they're, you know, what I was getting at, these are warranted things that, you know, they caused on themselves, you know. So of course, Donald Trump is going to have it out for them. But back to my point with Joy Reid, you can't lose viewership in this business and expect to be on mainstream media. It's a dog eat dog world. You're gonna get replaced. The only place you could survive and do that, because your views goes up and down depending on, because the algorithm is not your friend, is YouTube. 1 minute you could be hot, the next minute, you know, you're not promoted in YouTube, but you can't control that algorithm. You got to be, if you're on mainstream media, you got to be a likable person. And apparently she wasn't likable. They didn't like her. Okay. So you guys put in the chat, let me know what you think. Let me look at some of your comments. Stephen A. Smith is a character on Batman and named Two-Face. Keratin, to be fair, Trump was a businessman and a real estate guru prior to his presidency. Exactly. Donald Gibson, hello from Facebook, tuning in. Thank you. Keratin, he does flip-flop sometimes. IMO, freedom is what allows us to choose. Liberty is what protects us from our decisions. Exactly. Justin Thompson, good afternoon to you. The person they replaced with her is quite honestly an embarrassment to the entire country. Yeah, they might, their views might drop too, because he's not the guy that they're replacing her with. He's in that job too. And that lady, I don't know what their names are, but they're both kind of like on the extreme side. And the last video I watched of that guy, the guy with the bald head, he was in it. I just can't understand why people are not getting upset and riled up about what's going on. I was like, why is he leaning back like that? Who slouches in their chair and he leaning all back like this? And I'm thinking like, okay, what is your point? But anywho, you guys put in the chat. Let me know what you think. Tomorrow, we don't have a live tomorrow, but I will be dropping a video tomorrow or Saturday, depending on if I get the edits done. So I really appreciate every single last one of you. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.